I'd like to thank our reader for the wonderful reading this week, and Karen Drucker, and our fabulous CSL music team, who always has such beautiful music to support the message. Today, as we continue on our wonderful 2023 spiritual journey and our series on life, love, and the pursuit of happiness, according to the boy, the mole, the fox, and the horse, we explore strength and courage. This is already week 11 of our 14-week journey. And though we're closing in on this journey, we still have time to discover who we are and what has meaning to us and where our home lies. Each week is independent, remember, and today you're going to walk away with some tools to delve deeper into understanding your life and how you might bring more strength and courage into it. So here's your question for the week. What is the one choice you might make today to be stronger and more courageous, to recognize your own inner strength, and to be courageous by always being you? One more time. What's the one choice you might make today to be stronger and more courageous, to recognize your inner strength, and to be courageous? Ernest Holmes, in Creative Mind and Success, wrote, The individual who has the most power is the one who has the greatest realization of the divine presence, and to whom this means the most as an active principle of his life. We all need more backbone and less wishbone. There is something which waits only our recognition to spring into being, bringing with it I wanted to begin with that quote because I think it encapsulates the essence of strength and courage. It's not about great force or about actions that seem to be extraordinary. Strength and courage are about having more backbone and less wishbone. These attributes are about springing into action with our whole being when we know that something is wrong, when we know something needs to be righted. These are not just physical attributes, they're traits that live inside of us, shaping our thoughts, our actions, our perspectives. And while strength is often associated with physical might, courage is the mental and emotional fortitude that enables us to face our fears and persevere in the face of adversity. So today I want to focus on inner strength, supportive strength, and having the courage to face your fears, be yourself, and take risk. And while we're on those topics, I'll also want to talk about recognizing our true strength and courage comes from partnering with the divine. You might notice that I'm sitting in front of the piano in my sister's house. This is the piano that I used to play when I was growing up. And it gave me the strength to express my feelings, to express my emotions. So it felt appropriate that I tape this talk sitting on this piano bench. Let's begin with inner strength, that strength that lies within us. The boy, grappling with his uncertainties, learns that acknowledging vulnerability is a sign of strength, not weakness, and that it takes courage to confront our inner battles and emerge stronger for them. At the beginning of the story, when the mole and the boy are just getting to know each other, they provide each other's strength when they are afraid and it's getting close to nighttime. Let's take a look.
Is there something there? It's getting dark.
Shall we,
Good idea.
We can set off properly tomorrow.
What was that? Imagine how we'd be if we were less afraid.
Most of the old moles I know wish they'd listened less to their fears and more to their dreams.
The boy was courageous enough to show he was afraid, and wise enough to imagine what life could be like if he were less afraid. I sure wish when I was younger that someone had told me, like the wise mole said, to worry less about fear and spend more time on my dreams. I did have a wonderful family in Port Allen when I was in college, and Harry used to say to me all the time that I was a bit of a worrywart, and he was always telling me, most of your problems never happen. And just this past week, I read this line, Worry doesn't take away tomorrow's troubles. It just makes today miserable. If I had only embraced those words when I was younger, I wasted a lot of time making myself miserable. Can anybody else relate? Let's take another look at the foursome and what they can teach us about strength and courage.
How fast can you run?
Well, I wouldn't say I was a natural athlete, but I did once win a digging competition.
I don't mean you.
Oh, I see. Well, Oh, God!
You fell. But I've got you.
Sorry.
It was an accident.
It's my fault. I let go. Oh gosh. Sorry. Sorry.
Ah, now. Tears fall for a reason, and they're your strength, not weakness.
I think you believe in me more than I do.
You'll catch up.
Tears are our strength, not our weakness. Why do you think that is? And did you notice how quick the boy was to apologize, to say, I'm sorry? It seems like many people have the misconception that tears show we're weak, when indeed they show that we're willing to be vulnerable. They show that we're willing to express our feelings, that inner strength. I had a teacher once who told me that tears are the Spirit of God overflowing from within. And ever since then, crying is okay. That certainly is strength. I remember when my son was in the hospital for almost 3 weeks, and Mom and Papa came to visit. Papa reminded me I didn't need to be strong all the time, and the tears came. Well, actually the floodgates opened. What a relief it was just to have someone be understanding and lend me their strength, their shoulder to cry on. Lesson 154 of A Course in Miracles includes these words. It is not our part to judge our worth. nor can we know what role is best for us. And what we think is weakness can be strength. What we believe to be our strength is often arrogance. Whatever your appointed role may be, it was selected by the voice for God. Seeing your strengths exactly as they are, and equally aware of where they can be best applied, for what, to whom, and when, God chooses and accepts
What the boy
your part
thought was
his weakness, his tears. The horse reminded him was strength. And can you relate to sometimes thinking something is a strength of yours when indeed it might be arrogance? I know I've often dug in my heels when I knew I was right. I'm not talking about safety issues here. I'm talking about I just wanted the other person to know that I was right. That did not make my connection with the one life any stronger. As a matter of fact, it made it weaker. How can that, trying to be right, be real strength when it separates me from others, or when it takes me away from true connection with the divine, with that other person in their skin, which is the divine? It is arrogance to think that I know something better than somebody else, for I don't see from their perspective. And it's just important for me to remember God created both of us. There are 2 pages in the book that I think truly encapsulate ideas about courage. Let's look at the conversation the horse and the boy have about swans on the water. How do they look so together and perfect? Asked the boy. There's a lot of frantic paddling going on beneath. Talk about how I lived a lot of my life, hiding out and pretending things were fine and I had my act together. And all the while, there was a lot of frantic thoughts going in my mind about my life. This is just another example of false strength, or strength that's arrogance. Why didn't I want to admit how fearful I was about the future or how much I needed help? I suppose it was pride. Has there been a time in your life where you needed to have courage to tell the truth of your situation? I suspect when we were little, something happened that we didn't want to confess we'd done. And what I think is interesting, though, is that most children eventually confess rather than lie about it. It's a shame that as we grow into adulthood, we find it so much more difficult to tell the whole truth about things. So we deny the real truth. Sometimes when the storms show up in our lives, it's easier to be afraid and to forget. As Karen's song introducing the message told us, all shall be well. Let's take a look at that second page I mentioned earlier and what the horse tells the boy. And wow, is it great advice.
What should we do? That didn't sound good.
Good grief, I don't like this.
feel out of control, focus on what you love right under your nose.
Oh, I like that.
This storm will pass.
When big things feel out of control, focus on what you love right under your nose. What wisdom and what a supportive thing for the horse to say. He knew the boy was afraid, and he helped him by telling him to focus on something he loved. And by the way, that always works for me. It's hard to focus on what you love and live in fear simultaneously. I invite you to play with me for a moment. Close your eyes and answer this question. What big thing might feel out of control in my life? Is there something? And if not, choose a little thing. If there's a big thing, ask the divine what you might focus on that you love, something right under your nose. When I was in fear about my son's future, I wished I had known the wisdom of the horse, to focus on what I loved that was right under my nose, to focus on loving him and loving my daughter in the moment, and to concentrate on the good part of my life. For me, often I find that the big things turn into not so big things when I remember to ask the divine for guidance. In our reading today, you heard this. If we would transcend doubt and fear, we must lift up our thought unto the spiritual hills of the inner life. I turn resolutely to that divine source that knows no confusion, to that spiritual center within me that knows no fear. So what might it take for you to remember to turn to that divine source when you need more strength and more courage? Sometimes I think we need just remember what the horse told the boy. When the dark clouds come, keep going. It does take courage and strength to keep going sometimes. And it requires us to tap into the knowledge from our meditation today. Right where we are, we couldn't be any closer to the divine. Right where we stand, the presence of God is holding our hand. How often do we remember God is indeed our partner in life? Corrie ten Boom was a person who embraced that philosophy. Corrie ten Boom was a Dutch Christian woman who, along with her family, played a significant role in sheltering and aiding Jews during the Nazi occupation of the Netherlands in World War II. The ten Boom family operated a watch shop, and they used their home as a hiding place for Jewish refugees and members of the Dutch resistance. However, in 1944, they were betrayed and arrested by the Gestapo. Corrie, along with her sister Betsy, was sent to Ravensbrück concentration camp. Now, despite the harsh conditions and unimaginable suffering, Corrie and Betsy continued to provide comfort and support to their fellow prisoners. Well, Betsy's health deteriorated and she passed away in the camp. Fortunately, Corrie was released due to a clerical error. Well, it was probably a divine clerical error, just 1 week before all women her age were executed. That divine intervention, having her released, allowed her to share her story of survival, resilience, and faith through public speaking and writing. It took strength and courage to tell her story because reliving it in those public events, she recalls how she came face to face with one of the concentration camp guards where her sister had died. Here's what she wrote. It was in a church in Munich that I saw him, a balding, heavy-set man in a gray overcoat, a brown felt hat clutched between his hands. People were filing out of the basement room where I'd just spoken, moving along the rows of wooden chairs to the door at the rear. And I had come to defeated Germany with a message that God forgives. There were never questions after a talk in Germany in 1947. People stood up in silence, collected their wraps, and in silence left the room. And that's when I saw him working his way forward against the others. One moment I saw the overcoat and the brown hat, the next a blue uniform and a visored cap with its skull and crossbones. It came back with a rush. The huge room with its harsh overhead lights, the pathetic pile of dresses and shoes in the center of the floor, the shame of walking naked past this man. I could see my sister's frail form ahead of me, ribs sharp beneath the parchment skin. This man was a guard at Ravensbrück concentration camp where we were sent. I remembered him and the leather crop swinging from his belt. It was the first time since my release that I had been face to face with one of my captors, and my blood seemed to freeze. You mentioned Ravensbrück in your talk, he said. I was a guard there. No, he did not remember me. But since that time, I have become a Christian. I know that God has forgiven me for the cruel things I did there. But I would like to hear it from your lips as well, Fräulein. Again, the hand came out. Will you forgive me? I stood there, I whose sins had every day to be forgiven, and could not. Betsy had died in that place. Could he erase her slow, terrible death simply for the asking? It could not have been many seconds that he stood there, hand held out. But to me, it seemed hours as I wrestled with the most difficult thing I ever had to do. For I had to do it. I knew that. The message that God forgives has a prior condition, that we forgive those who have injured us. If you do not forgive men their trespasses, Jesus had said, neither will your Father in heaven forgive your trespasses. Well, since the end of the war, those who were able to forgive their former enemies were also able to return to the outside world and rebuild their lives, no matter what the physical scars. Those who nursed their bitterness remained invalids. It was as simple and as horrible as that. Still, I stood there in the coldness, clutching my heart. But forgiveness is not an emotion. I knew that too. Forgiveness is an act of the will, and the will can function regardless of the temperament of the heart. Jesus, help me, I prayed silently. I can lift my hand. I can do that much. You supply the feeling. She recalled the following interaction. And so woodenly, mechanically, I thrust my hand into the one stretched out to me. And as I did, an incredible thing took place. The current started in my shoulder, raced down my arm, sprang into our joined hands, and then this healing warmth seemed to flood my whole being, bringing tears to my eyes. I forgive you, brother, I cried, with all my heart. For a long moment, we grasped each other's hands, the former guard and the former prisoner. I had never known God's love so intensely as I did then. Now that is what I call taking God as your partner. For Corrie ten Boom, what it took was her being so steeped in her faith that she asked God to help her, to be her partner in facing this man who was asking for forgiveness. Of all the things that I feel give us true courage and strength, the willingness to take God as our partner is most likely the most impactful. Even the horse tells the boy, everyone is a bit scared, but we are less scared together. And isn't that absolutely the case when we remember to take God as our partner? In Scientific Mental Practice, Emma Curtis Hopkins wrote, another name of the good we are seeking is strength. All things look for strength. They love strength. The baby laughs at every waft of strength through its little frame. The insect runs and rolls with speechless delight at every quiver of new strength. The good it seeks is strength unlimited. It wants free, boundless strength. So do you. If you name your good as unlimited strength, you will feel free and strong at once. I know that I certainly want to find my strength unlimited, the place within me that does not limit me, the place where I can be courageous in the face of a storm in my life. Ralph Waldo Emerson believed that true courage came from daring to be different, from breaking free of societal expectations and embracing one's unique path. Here's what he said. Do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail. The notion of forging our own paths, even if it means confronting uncertainty, encapsulates the essence of courage. It's about acknowledging fear, but choosing to move forward despite the complexities of our modern lives. Choosing, in the face of that storm, to keep going. So how can we go about applying these lessons of strength and courage? Start with the recognition that these qualities aren't reserved for a chosen few. They're innate within all of us. Know that by nurturing your inner strength and embracing courage, you can pursue your dreams. Let's not let fear hold us back from chasing our dreams. Like our 4 friends in the book, we can overcome doubts and uncertainties and achieve whatever it is that we set our minds to. And in the pursuit of those dreams, recognize that life will most likely present us with some obstacles and that we have the courage within us to navigate through them. Every challenge we overcome becomes a stepping stone to greater heights. And finally, just as the companions inspire each other, our acts of strength and courage can inspire those around us. Like Corrie ten Boom, when we share our stories of triumph, we give hope to others that are facing similar struggles, and we can motivate them to tap into their own inner strength and to be more courageous. Whether we're facing personal challenges, pursuing our passions, or supporting those around us, inner strength and courageous with God as our partner guiding us through this journey, let's embrace our vulnerabilities. Let's take risk. Let's know it's in those actions that the true essence of strength and courage is found. So in summary, how might you be stronger and more courageous on life's journey? Have more backbone and less wishbone. Be open about your fears. Remember, tears are your strength, not a weakness. And when the dark clouds come, keep going. Courageously tell the whole truth. Quit that frantic paddling beneath the surface of your being. When big things feel out of control, focus on what you love. And make it through the tough times by taking God as your partner. Dare to be you and pursue your dreams. Go where there is no path and leave a trail. Remember, inner strength and courage are innate within you. So here's your affirmation for the week. How is it I so willingly and effortlessly make the choice today to be stronger and more courageous, to recognize my inner strength, and to be courageous by always being me? And your challenge for the week, pause each day for about 5 minutes and see where you might step out of your own comfort zone and be more courageous. And ask yourself, is there a path I might forge today? Check in at night to see what you discovered about yourself and how you found more inner strength and more courage that day. Let's pray. We settle into that place within us where we know the divine, where we know that essence of love and joy and peace and inner strength and courage and freedom and passion about our dreams. And we know that right where we are, God is. So all of that is right within us. And what I know to be the truth today is that you are indeed living with more backbone and less wishbone. That you are indeed embracing everything that comes into your life and knowing that whatever is happening, you have God as your partner. So I just know that this is a wonderful week for each of us, finding more strength, more courage, and pursuing our dreams. So knowing that to be the case, I just release my word with great gratitude into the law of mind, spirit, and action, into the divine yes that has already called it done. And because the divine has already called it done, I know there's no efforting on any of our parts to have it come true. So I can say amen, and we can affirm it together. And so it is. I want to thank everybody that is contributing, that's helping us to build up a fund so that we can start meeting in person. And we will continue to do our online services. We will just meet in person as well. So thank you again for all your donations. Enjoy our offertory song.